Most Americans are now told they'll need around $1.8 million to retire comfortably. But what if I told you there are quiet corners of the United States where that number can drop close to zero? Before we get into it, take a moment to tap the like button if you believe housing should be more affordable for everyday Americans. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our in-depth looks at money, retirement, and living well in later life. Now, imagine this for a moment. What if retiring in America didn't mean watching your life savings slowly disappear? What if the biggest worries, rent, mortgages, and rising housing costs, were no longer part of the equation? As we move through 2026, rent prices continue to rise, and many retirees living on fixed incomes feel the pressure more than ever. But a small, thoughtful group of retirees is quietly making a different choice. Hire moving to towns where housing is free, nearly free, or heavily subsidized for seniors. These are not trendy cities you see on social media. They're not crowded retirement hotspots. They're overlooked American townsplaces offering free land programs, zero-rent senior housing, and even full property tax relief. In these communities, the cost of living is so low it feels like stepping back a few decades before everything became so expensive. Today, we're going to share 10 surprising towns in the United States where you can live with little to no housing cost. These are places that value peace of mind, personal safety, and a dignified, slower pace of life in retirement. And the truth is most Americans have never even heard of them. Number 1. East Palestine. Ohio East Palestine is a small town of around 4,700 people in the Rust Belt that has become a symbol of both disaster and rebuilding. After the 2023 train derailment, it received one of the most intensive public-private rebuilding efforts ever focused on a town this size. Norfolk Southern committed over $100 million to infrastructure, public spaces, and long-term projects, including a modern training center and a fully renovated historic park. For retirees, the financial incentives are unusually strong. 100% property tax exemption for up to 15 years on new construction. Up to 10 years of exemption on major renovations. That means someone who buys an older home, renovates it to a single level, senior-friendly layout, A&D qualifies under the CRA, can have very low or even near zero property tax for a decade or more. Cost of living snapshot. East Palestine's cost of living is well below the national average. Housing, food, utilities, and healthcare, all priced under U.S. norms. Single person, about $2,147 month total, including housing and basics. Family of 4. About $4,728 month, including housing. Overall, housing costs are estimated to be around 45 to 47% lower than the national average. Median home value is about $114,000, and more than 80% of residents say housing is affordable. Median household income is about $49,000, with average household income near $66,000, and a poverty rate under 10%. For retirees with outside income pensions, Social Security, home sale proceeds from a more expensive state, day-to-day costs can feel very manageable. But there is emotional weight here. Some longtime residents feel no amount of money erases the trauma of 2023. Choosing East Palestine means joining a community that is still healing, and living with ongoing environmental monitoring and debate about long-term safety. For some, that's too much risk. For others, it's exactly why they come, because they see a chance to be part of renewal, not just to consume cheap housing. Number 2. Dothan, Alabama. Dothan is a quiet southern city that has turned boring into a financial superpower for retirees. As housing costs explode in larger metros, Dothan's stability is its biggest selling point. Alabama's overall cost of living is significantly lower than the U.S. average, and Dothan follows that pattern. Housing costs in Dothan are roughly one-third below the national average, with typical home values around $175,000, $180,000 as of late 2024. What really changes the game for low and fixed-income retirees is income-based senior housing. Several senior communities in Dothan cap rent at a low percentage of income layer on federal and local assistance. In some cases, reduce net rent to almost zero for very low-income seniors. This means many retirees here have no mortgage face, no sudden rent spikes, are largely insulated from inflation in the housing market. Cost of living snapshot. Dothan's overall cost of living sits about 13 to 14% below the national average. A single adult comfortable target salary is quoted around $64,000 year before taxes, but that assumes full-price housing. For seniors in subsidized or income-based housing, total monthly living costs can fall under $1,400, including utilities. Because housing is deeply discounted or effectively removed from the equation, daily costs, groceries, basic services, and property taxes remain low compared with many U.S. cities. Dothan has reliable hospitals and clinics, a modest public transportation system, manageable traffic, and a slower pace of life. Dothan does not promise luxury or big city stimulation. It promises predictability, steady bills, accessible healthcare, friendly neighbors, and a retirement where financial panic is not the default feeling. Number 3. Duquesne, Pennsylvania. Duquesne, a small city outside Pittsburgh, was once powered by steel. Today, it stands out because of how far a retiree's fixed income can stretch. Pennsylvania is one of the most tax-friendly states for retirees. No state tax on Social Security benefits, no state tax on most pensions, IRA withdrawals, and 401k distributions if taken after retirement age. When you combine that with extremely low housing costs, Duquesne becomes surprisingly attractive. Housing and cost of living. Duquesne is regularly ranked among the Pennsylvania suburbs with the lowest cost of living. Median home value, about $57,500, $60,800. Around 36% of homes are under $50,000, and nearly half fall between $50,000 and $100,000. Median rent, about $725 a month, with nearly half of renters paying between $500 and $999. That puts Duquesne's housing costs dramatically below major Northeast metro areas. For a retiree coming from New York, New Jersey, or the D.C. suburbs, prices here can feel almost unreal. Duquesne also has strong nonprofit and income-based senior housing options. Qualifying seniors can get very low rent, sometimes effectively eliminated through subsidies, turning a fixed Social Security check into something that actually covers more than just bare essentials. Healthcare access is a major plus. Duquesne sits close to Pittsburgh and the UPMC health system, one of the top medical networks in the country. Senior transit programs and local transport options reduce the need to own and maintain a car, cutting monthly expenses further. Day-to-day life is modest but manageable. Small shops, neighborhood streets, and people who still tend to know each other. For retirees who want access to world-class healthcare and big city amenities without paying big city housing prices, Duquesne offers a practical middle ground. Number 4. Claremore, Oklahoma. Claremore, Oklahoma has quietly become one of the smartest value plays for retirees in 2026. The state has taken clear steps to attract and protect retirees, and Claremore sits right in the middle of that shift. Oklahoma is now considered one of the more retiree-friendly tax states by 2026. The state exempts a significant amount of retirement income and fully protects Social Security benefits from state taxation for most seniors. For many retirees, that means the checks they spent decades earning finally stay in their pocket. State taxes. Where Claremore really shines is in the combination of income, housing, and day-to-day costs, cost of living, and monthly budget. Recent cost of living data puts Claremore's total monthly expenses, including rent, at about $1,838 for a single person and $4,414 for a down for a single person. $1,838 per month rent plus utilities. $1,100 per month other living costs, food, transport, etc. $738 month for a family. $4,414 per month rent plus utilities. $1,906 per month other living costs, food, transport, etc. $2,508 month. The median after-tax salary in Claremore is estimated around $3,592 month, which is enough to cover roughly 2 months of basic single-person living expenses. For retirees, especially those who own their home outright, that gap between costs and income. Housing and home prices. Housing in Claremore stays surprisingly affordable compared to national averages. Cost of living indexes place the city's overall cost at about 9 to 12% below the U.S. average. With housing one of the main drivers of savings, well-maintained smaller homes and senior-friendly manufactured housing communities can still be found in the $60,000 to $70,000 range in some cases, depending on condition and location. One-bedroom apartments often rent in the $870, $1,050 month range, while modest 3-bedroom rentals typically land under $1,900 month, including yourself or retirees selling a high-priced home in states like California, New York, or Washington. Moving to Claremore can mean paying cash for a home and still keeping a significant nest egg invested or in savings. Healthcare and quality of life. Healthcare is a standout feature. Claremore and the surrounding area offer clinics, assisted living, and senior care options at price points generally lower than big metro areas. Broader Oklahoma costs for healthcare are also below the national average, which helps retirees stretch their budgets further. Claremore scores decently on quality of life metrics and remains a mid-sized city with a small-town field walkable pockets, local events. Number 5. Gregory, South Dakota. Gregory, South Dakota is small on the map, but very big when you look at what it does for a retiree's wallet. South Dakota is widely known as a no-state income tax state. That single fact changes the entire equation for retirees. No state tax on Social Security, no state tax on pensions, no state tax on IRA or 401k withdrawals. Whatever you receive in retirement income is only subject to federal rules, not an extra state skim. For anyone living on fixed income, that can easily mean hundreds or even thousands of extra dollars kept each year. Cost of living and monthly budget according to recent 2026 estimates. Gregory's cost of living looks like this. Single person, $2,325 per month, including housing. Family of 4, $5,119 per month. Gregory's overall living costs are about 6% lower than the U.S. average, even after accounting for rising prices. MIT's living wage model for Gregory County suggests that a single adult with no children needs around a mid-$30,000 annual income to cover a basic but decent standard of living. 2 adults with children require more, but the absence of state income tax and low housing costs soften the blow. For retirees, every dollar that dose and tea go to the taxman or rent is a dollar that can go to healthcare, travel, grandchildren, or simply peace of mind. Housing and healthcare. Housing is where Gregory looks especially attractive. Move-in-ready homes can sometimes be found for around $50,000, and in some cases less, depending on size and condition. Many retirees arriving from high-cost states simply buys a small home outright and eliminate mortgage payments forever. Gregory offers local hospital services, dialysis, and emergency care, long-term care facilities. Don't have to drive hours for basic medical help, which matters a lot in later life. And income-based senior housing options exist for retirees on tighter budgets, capping rent at manageable levels and reducing the risk of being priced out. Life in Gregory is quiet, safe, and predictable. If you're not looking for nightlife and skyscrapers, but for a simple life where bills are paid and the pace is human, Gregory delivers that stability.
Number 6. New Richland, Minnesota. New Richland, Minnesota is one of the few remaining towns in America offering something that sounds almost impossible in 2026. Free residential land under specific local programs through a homestead-style or free lot program. Qualified newcomers who commit to building a home can receive a fully serviced residential lot at no charge. For retirees, that instantly removes one of the largest cost barriers. Buying land then helps them build immediate equity instead of paying rent forever. Taxes and income. Minnesota has moved toward easing the tax burden on retirees by expanding Social Security, tax relief, and adjusting brackets so that many middle-income retirees pay less state tax than in the past. That doesn't make Minnesota a no-tax state, but it means that for a retiree choosing a very low-cost small town like New Richland, the combination of slightly higher taxes and extremely low housing and land costs can still be a big win. Cost and lifestyle. While specific New Richland cost of living data is less widely published than for larger cities, rural Minnesota towns in this region typically fall below national averages for housing, around or slightly below national averages for groceries and basic utilities. That means retirees who build a modest, efficient home on a free lot can often keep their housing costs limited to taxes, insurance, and maintenance, no mortgage required. New Richland also has local clinics and healthcare providers, reasonable driving distance to the world-class Mayo Clinic in Rochester. For serious or specialized treatments, daily life is intentionally simple. Walks by nearby lakes, small cafes, church and community events, and neighbors who know your name. For retirees tired of anonymous, fast-paced city life, New Richland offers a slower, more connected alternative. Number 7. Carthage, Missouri. Carthage, Missouri is the kind of town that feels like a time capsule, both in how it looks and in how much it costs. Missouri has been steadily improving its retirement tax environment. By 2026, state policy changes effectively exempt most retirement income for many seniors, especially when combined with existing Social Security exemptions and various credits. For retirees at moderate income levels, the result can be little to no state tax on retirement income in practice. Housing that feels like another era Carthage takes that tax advantage and stacks it on top of remarkably low housing prices. Older, historic homes in need of some updating can list under $50,000 in some cases. Subsidized senior housing options cap rent based on income, meaning no matter what happens to local housing markets, retirees aren't suddenly priced out. Property tax relief programs and credits for seniors and low-income residents can further reduce the effective cost of owning a home in Missouri. Healthcare and lifestyle. Carthage has excellent healthcare access, with larger hospitals and specialty care facilities a short drive away. For most day-to-day needs, primary care, pharmacies, and outpatient services are available locally. The town itself features walkable, historic downtown streets, 19th century architecture, a stable, community-oriented atmosphere. Carthage isn't flashy. It probably won't go viral on social media. But for retirees who want predictable bills, real houses instead of tiny apartments, and a sense of continuity and tradition, it's a remarkably solid choice. Number 8. Curtis, Nebraska. Curtis, Nebraska believes in an old-fashioned idea. Grow a town by welcoming people in. Give them a reason to stay. One of the most eye-catching programs. free residential lots for people willing to build a home and settle in the community. Utilities are already in place on these lots, which means retirees are not dealing with raw, undeveloped land. They are stepping straight into a build-ready situation. Taxes and income. Nebraska has been strengthening Social Security tax exemptions, allowing more retirees to keep a higher percentage of their benefits. Depending on income, many seniors see reduced or eliminated state tax on Social Security, which is a major plus for fixed-income households. Combine that with low to moderate housing costs, free or heavily discounted land income-based senior housing for those who prefer to rent. And Curtis becomes especially appealing for retirees with modest budgets. Life and services. Curtis connects into regional healthcare networks with hospitals and specialized care accessible within driving distance. For routine needs, clinics and basic services are reachable nearby. Life in Curtis is intensely personal. In a place this size, you're not just resident for B. People know your name. Notice if you're not around and say hello at the grocery store. That social fabric matters a lot in retirement. WHEN isolation can become a real risk in bigger cities. Number 9. Tuskegee, Alabama. Tuskegee, Alabama offers retirees more than low-price ESIT, offers protection. Alabama generally does not tax Social Security benefits, and many retirement income sources receive favorable treatment, meaning lower overall state tax for seniors. On top of that, property tax rates in Alabama tend to be among the lower ones nationally, and seniors can often qualify for additional property tax relief, housing, rent, and support in Tuskegee and the broader region. HUD-supported and income-based housing programs are crucial. Rents are often capped at around 30% of a household's income, with additional subsidies. Some very low-income seniors end up paying little to almost nothing out of pocket for rent. This structure is especially important for retirees who rely primarily on Social Security or small pensions. It means that even as prices rise elsewhere, they can keep a roof over their heads without constant fear of eviction or sudden rent hikes. Health care access is steady, with local facilities and regional hospitals serving the area. On top of that, Tuskegee carries deep historical and cultural significance, especially regarding African American history and civil rights, which can add a sense of meaning and connection to everyday life. Tuskegee blends history, dignity, and stability in a way that few towns can match, especially for seniors who care as much about community and respect as they do about rent and taxes. Number 10. New Iberia, Louisiana. New Iberia, Louisiana has quietly become a model for income-based senior living, especially for retirees who need to watch every dollar. Cost of living and monthly budget cost of living data shows New Iberia sitting at about 20% below the national average, with particularly low housing costs compared to many U.S. cities' living cost tools, and local price data suggest a single person with modest rent may need around $1,700, $1,900 a month for a basic but decent lifestyle. A family of 4 may need roughly $3,800, $4,200 a month, depending on housing and lifestyle. Local grocery prices, for example, bread around $3.50, $3.70 per loaf, and eggs around $4.5 per dozen, help keep food budgets manageable. Housing and income-based programs. New Iberia has refined its use of income-based and subsidized senior housing programs. Rents commonly cap at around 30% of household income, in line with federal affordability guidelines. Utility assistance can further reduce monthly out-of-pocket costs. meaning many low-income seniors effectively live close to rent-free once all aid is applied. Louisiana also does not tax Social Security income and offers exemptions on various kinds of retirement income, helping retirees keep more of their monthly checks. Culture and lifestyle. New Iberia is not just affordable, it's vibrant. It sits in the heart of Cajun and Creole country, with festivals, live music, strong food, culture deep, community roots. For retirees who want both financial relief and rich cultural life, New Iberia offers a rare combination: low stress on the budget, high value in day-to-day experience. Worried about retiring in 2026? Stressed about inflation and the thought of paying rent forever? Well, what if I told you there's another way? Across the United States, small towns are offering a different kind of retirement, one with stability, where your housing costs are predictable and your monthly budget actually makes sense. One with dignity, with real options for seniors at every income level, from free land programs to income-based housing. And most importantly, one with freedom. The freedom to live without crushing debt, constant financial panic, or feeling priced out of your own life. If you believe an affordable retirement should be a basic right, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the places where your Social Security check goes further. And a fixed income doesn't mean you're fixed with worry. Freedom still exists. You just have to know where to look.